Great. Welcome, everybody. So I'm just going to do a brief introduction. I'm Nathan Turner. I'm the Vice President for Communications for the IMA. And until recently, as you can tell from my hairline, I was an ECM, but I'm not anymore. But I'm still invited to things like this, which is nice. So yeah, welcome to everybody, IMA members and otherwise. Tonight we're going to be hosting an evening with you. The ECM community, the early career mathematicians from the IMA are here to talk to you about what the ECM is all about, how you might be able to get involved in it, what sort of projects they've got on the go at the moment, and what they've got going on in the future. So there's lots to get involved in person and online. Really exciting part of the IMA. And then afterwards, Carrie Lou is going to do a quick introduction. I'll introduce her afterwards. So I'll hand over to the ECM committee to get started.
Go on, Robyn.
Okay, hi everyone. My name's Robyn, and I'm the newly appointed chair of the Early Career Mathematicians Committee at the IMA. I am joined over there by Tom and James, and we're meant to be joined by Paige, our events leader. Unfortunately, she is unwell today, so we'll have to keep going without her. But yeah, as Nathan said, myself and Tom and James are going to talk to you a little bit about what we are doing and what we have in the works. But first, I thought I'd introduce you to the rest of our committee. So this is our new committee for 2024. Along the top four, we have our new members bringing fresh ideas and perspectives. And then along the bottom, we have some returning members. We also have Edward there who supports us a lot. Had to include him. And yeah, other people we can't get rid of, like James and Tom over there. No worries. So our committee is made up of all early career members, obviously, but people from industry as well as academia, and at different stages of their career or their early career. So we have students in undergrad. We also have PhD students, such as myself and Kat. We have postdocs, such as Jack. We have people teaching, and also lecturers like James and Tom. So yeah, we span a lot of sectors: academia, teaching, industry, as well as different stages. And yeah, I'm really excited to be the chair of this committee. I think we have a very strong committee this year, so I hope you'll stick around and see what we achieve. Okay. Oh no! Spoiler! Okay, just pretend you didn't see that. But we'll just play along with me, okay? But I thought to help you get to know us a little bit better, we do a very informal quiz. So at this point, I'd like to ask you, if you don't know the person next to you or the group around you, just to say hi, introduce yourselves, and they are your new team members for this very informal, casual quiz. Okay. Okay, awesome. So now we're all acquainted. Cool. So now we're all acquainted. Yeah, so this one's quite difficult. So really put your heads together for this one. But the first question is, which previous ECM committee member became IMA president? Any volunteers? It's a toughie. Okay, so I'm scared it's going to click too far. Yeah, this is, of course, Naira, who was the chair of the Early Career Mathematicians Committee and was also the IMA president. Okay. Amazing. Now, moving on. Which committee member, there are our faces and our names here just to remind you, did Peter Andre once buy a donut for? The Peter Andre, Australian pop icon, Peter Andre. Interesting. Okay. Oh, what a consensus. Anyone else? Any other ideas? Paige? I'd buy a donut for Paige. But actually, yeah, you were right, James. And we all know what we're going to be asking James later on in the networking session. Okay.
Was it nice? I don't know. I don't remember. It was jam, but yeah, that's what I got for you. Sorry.
Okay, now this one is in here just to convince you how amazing our committee are, because this is insane. So which ECM committee member has had a rugby stadium named after them?
Surname?
Whole name, full name.
Name?
Mm-hmm. It's a big stadium. It was temporarily named after them. It's not still named after them, but
How long ago?
I don't know.
We're doing what's it called? The elimination of the chances. Ed can believe that. And then
Oh. Jack? Interesting. Anybody else? Catherine? Interesting. I think you thought Catherine as well. Something about Catherine making you think she has a rugby stadium named after her. Hamilton. Okay. Okay. It's actually Kat Phillips. She's our new engagement leader.
It was Swansea.
Yeah, she's a big rugby fan. And she still has merch that has her name on it. And it says the Kat Phillips Stadium. Or Katie Phillips Stadium. But yeah. So that's Kat. Okay, which committee member has met or did meet Queen Elizabeth II? And there's an extra point, or maybe an extra 1,000,000 points, if you can guess where.
the toilet.
That's not a bad guess, to be fair. Emma? She made a cake for it. It does look like it.
Jack's actually outside of the house.
Anybody else got any ideas? Paige seems like she'd get a donut and meet the Queen.
I think it was you, Robyn.
Me? Oh. Yeah, it could be. No? Okay. It's Tom! And
You know where?
Yeah, go on.
So I met her on Scunthorpe High Street. Generally.
What, just walking along the street?
Yeah, doing shopping.
Just doing a bit of shopping.
Yeah, she came to open something, like one and only time we've had royalty in Scunthorpe.
Right.
Yeah, was it? I was like 7. Like, I think it's clouds. I said one word. It's a lot.
Did you say we're shopping?
now I feel like it's just whose meeting do you value more, Peter Andre's or the Queen's?
Only both still alive.
Well, true. Yeah. And James got a donut, yeah. Okay. Keeping on the royal theme, which committee member has met the King of Spain?
Just realised.
Yeah, it was Edward. Was it in Scunthorpe High Street?
It was the past conference, actually.
Okay.
Okay. So he came to open the conference.
Wow.
Which king was it?
Okay, how many nominations did the ECM committee receive in the most recent elections across the 3 roles that were up for election? You were in those emails, Nick. No, not double digits.
At least 3.
At least 3, yep.
7.
Any other guesses? 5 up. No, down. No, a little bit lower. Nick was close with 7, it's 8. But we also got 3 nominations for the diversity lead, which isn't included in the election. So then we made double digits. Sorry?
Who's that person, by the way? It's a new person. Yeah, who is it?
Leanna Payne. Okay. Which of these is not the subject of a Graham Hoare/Catherine Richards Prize winning Mathematics Today article written by an early career mathematician? The first one is arguing with your insurance company, cycling around the world, making a cup of tea, or betting on a football game.
Betting on football.
Can we reach a consensus? Who's been reading their maths today? Back to front. Any ideas? What's the vote? Football? Oh, we want to split. Okay. This side wins. I made that up. Not yet, there isn't an article about cycling around the world, but you never know, next year. But yes, in 2023, we had one about betting on football. 2022, we had one about challenging an insurance company's decision, an estimation on wind speed. The year before, something rubbish, don't need to read that. But the year before that, we had one about making a cup of tea. But yeah. Okay, this is the last question of our quiz. How many years this year have the IMA ECM committee been active? Yeah, on 3? Anybody? I bet everybody knows. Everybody knows. 20! Yeah, and we'll be celebrating this all year, but especially at the event later this year. Okay, thank you. I'm going to pass on, I think, to you, Tom.
Yeah, I feel like mine's a right letdown compared to the quiz, isn't it? I've just got a slide. Okay, so... Oh, thank you. I've got one slide, so... But, yeah, hi everyone. So, as I say, I'm going to sort of now be a bit more boring and tell you a little bit about what we've been doing over the last couple of years and what we're hoping to achieve in the next few. So I'm going to focus on the sort of academia and teaching side of things, the things that we've done as a committee to support that sort of industry. So we previously had a lot of conferences. So we had an autumn and a spring conference, but especially with COVID, things sort of changed. The demand for that sort of began to wane a little bit. And we seemed to get more interest in sort of shorter, snappier events. So we began to sort of breadthen the different things that we do and come up with a series of different events. So one of them that we have done in the last couple of years is the idea exchange. So this was for us to introduce people who are new to teaching maths and statistics in higher education, to introduce them to the different bodies that sort of support that discipline. So we've had representation from the IMA, the LMS, but also the Royal Statistical Society, Telmo, the Sigma Network, Kettle MSOR. So we've had quite a lot of involvement in that event. So we've also got the BAMC Icebreaker. So this is an event before the BAMC conference for early career members to get to know each other, maybe make some connections across the community, get to know some new people. We've got the ECM seminar series, so we've got people from different prize winners presenting. So we've had people who have won the Graham Hoare Prize, so Robyn. But we've also had people who've won the Lighthill Prize, and we've got more of those coming up in the next year. But also then we've moved into sort of the virtual maths tea space. So we've had some on coding. So there was The Good, the Bug, and the Undefined. I think that's my favourite title I've ever heard. But we've also had ones about if you're in your PhD, about moving into your early career and how you do that and what options are out there. And this year we've got some specifically for teaching. So we've got one on AI in assessment coming up, which I imagine the AI in assessment will be very neutral. People's opinions will be pretty much the same. There'll be no controversy at all. I've sort of stepped into what we were planning this year, but we've got the Bank Icebreaker again this year, so we're up in Newcastle in a couple of weeks' time. The Ideas Exchange went really well last year, so we've split that up this time. So we're going to run a series of events this year, mainly focusing on that first aspect about getting people to know the different bodies that support maths pedagogy. We've also got some more seminar series. So we've got presenters from, again, the Graham Hall Prize. We've got from the Lighthill Prize coming up. And I've already sort of mentioned the Maths Tea for this year. But we've also now got the undergraduate video competition coming up this year. So opportunity for undergraduates to submit projects that they've done and sort of get some recognition for that. So what are our aspirations then for moving forward? So obviously the IMA's just released the mentoring scheme, which is really great to see. And something that we've seen, especially at the Ideas Exchange, was that people were attending things, but then you could see this sort of desire for sort of support afterwards. So we're hoping to sort of engage with that process, get people who maybe attend the Ideas Exchange to then sign up to the mentoring to get support as they move into sort of their early career. And I've mentioned that we want to split the Ideas Exchange into multiple events. So we want to have one specifically on the tips for teaching maths, but also for teaching sort of in the sort of service teaching. It's different to teach people who are on a maths degree versus those who are doing maths as part of another course, say pharmacy or say chemistry. So we'd like to sort of expand into that region and see how can we support ECMs who are in that sort of domain. We've got a workshop coming up in a few weeks about digital tools in academia. So how can we sort of solve problems that we might see in sort of the new HE landscape? How can we solve them with digital tools? So if we've got a large cohort, how can we use digital tools to promote engagement with everyone? And then we've got a PhD projects fair. So the idea of this is where supervisors can sort of almost like pitch their PhDs to those looking to take a PhD. And sort of PhD students then could also ask and interact with the projects before deciding whether that's for them. But I think that's all from me, and I'm going to hand over to James. Yeah, so. You want to click the button?
I'll take the clicker. Thank you. Thanks, Tom. So I have the pleasure of talking to you about industry, and I'm a university lecturer, so please take this with a pinch of salt. I'm covering for Paige, right? So please call me Paige, and I'll try my best to answer. As Tom said, you can see that there is a large and distinct amount of events that we've done for academia, and now we're branching into this teaching space. And there is sort of distinct lack of anything that we're doing for industry. And that's what makes the IMA, unique, right? It's this industrial side of what we can offer. And as the ECM committee, we thought, can we do more? So we tried to do more at the conferences, but we just weren't getting that traction. What people were interested in academia is not necessarily what people may be interested in industry, right? So we tried that. It didn't work out. We're doing more maths teas now. Maths teas seem to be things like lunch and learns, that you may call it in industry, more attractive sessions. And, we have some of those going on. There will be more in the future, things like what would you do if you wanted to go into a new position, like things like interviewing as an ECM, these types of things we're trying to cover. But the planned things are a bit more exciting, like what are we going to be doing and what are our aspirations? And these are all high level, right? We're still working on these quite hard to try and find, the right space for them. But essentially, other than more maths teas, we've got a podcast which is actually being led by Nathan, and that will be coming out soon. It's to talk about the skills that, as an undergraduate or just a postgraduate, what would you like to have in industry, right? What were the key things? And we're going to be asking people who are around the industry who are very high ranking to think about what they did and why they did them, right? So I can see Carrie pointing at me saying she wants to be on the podcast, so maybe. We've got the strong maybe. We've got the ideathon and mini sandpits, so like giving access to undergraduates who maybe don't want to go into academia. Like, what does it actually mean to work in industry? Like trying to use those. And the IMA is very fortunate to have quite a lot of very strong corporate affiliates. And potentially that's one avenue we can use to try and access with them, give undergraduates the opportunity to work with them and see, like, is this actually something I want to do, and explore the fields in this capacity. And then we've got this What is a Series, right? And it's not literally what is a series, it's what is a blank, right? So we'll talk about that. So this could be, for example, what is a maths consultant, right? Maybe you're interested in learning about that, or insert some other industry title, right, that I don't know about. But it's going to be something like that. It's a webinar. We'll have people there who know, sort of like have been in the industry for a while. You can ask them questions about like what it is that they did, why do they enjoy it, things like that. But it's to try and really allow for other early career mathematicians to engage with industry in easier manners, rather than just via recruitment, right? Because that seems to be the main way to try and find yourself around the industry. It's like really recruitment, and we want to try and remove that step. You don't need to go via recruitment to find information out. Maybe you want to learn more before you go to recruitment. That's the sort of thing we're trying to solve here. And our aspirations are much larger. Networking sessions here is like, can we meet up with someone like DSTL, for example, when they get their new graduate cohort in? Can we do icebreakers for them, try and, like, as the IMA group, try and help them with their transition from being, as an undergraduate, into industry, and preparing them for that, and like trying to help with this. We've got career development support, so this may be things like writing CVs, how to go do interviews, but actually training, so closer to CPD. And then careers and employability fair. This is not similar to what you might think it is. It's similar in the sense of it's going to be an employability fair, but it's not aimed at graduates, right? Most of what you may see is that everything's aimed at graduates, but what if you're not a graduate anymore? What if you've been in the field for 2 years and you want to change field? Like, do you go to a graduate fair? Like, it seems like a place that may not be welcoming for you, and that's what we're trying to solve here. It's like you're a couple of steps on. An early career mathematician spans quite a lot of your career, and you're only a graduate once. So can we try and do something which involves more industry and try and get more interaction? I'll be around to answer any questions about industry, but what I may be like, email me, and then I'll forward that to Paige and be like, Paige, but I'm around. So if anyone is interested in any of these, then please do let me know. So I also have the pleasure of talking about our EDI strategy. So this is it. That's the events rise now. So we're talking a bit more about heuristically what it is that we're going to try and do. And you can tell that, so Paige has put together most of these slides, and I put this one together because it's hectic, right? So in the last sort of couple of years, we put a new role in, which is this diversity and inclusion leader. It's something that the committee felt very strongly about, particularly to get in line with what the IMA is trying to do with this EDI committee. What I've done is I've made bold the important words, if you can read them. But essentially, it's to make sure that the ECM committee works in line with wider IMA events and sort of like rules and responsibilities. It's to engage and encourage ECMs and try and do a lot more to diversify us and what we can try and do. Right? It's a 2-year position in office, up to 2 years if you want that. And so it's somewhere where you can come in and have some big ideas, and you can actually get the opportunity to work with them. We did some events which were EDI related. That's what this big picture is here. So you can imagine this is like a breakout room where you've got these different topics. There is some information. So these groups here in the center, this LMS, RSS, and IMA, that's sort of like us and equivalent of us. And the LMS is more about funding. So it's trying to expose to people what is out there as part of your community. And some topics, it's all on the web, and I can leave a link for you if you're interested in that. But there were some really interesting topics that we did that were talking about maths and EDI. We'll be doing more maths teas. You can see there's a very clear theme here. We like maths teas. But the thing that I sort of want to mention is this bit below. So the members of the EDI committee, so myself, Tom, Paige, and Charlotte. And Stu and Lena are like members of the EDI committee, and we're really proud to be here. Howard has very fortunately joined us here, which is great, especially he is our EDI champion. So, you know, if you actually want to learn anything about EDI, like come and speak to me, and I'm going to pass you on to Howard. But yeah, it's just something to say here is that we're very proud to sort of be involved in a lot of these things. And it's really encouraging for the IMA and for us to sort of say, we want to be part of this EDI wave and we want to sort of lead it. And then finally, we've got this new venture, this IMA activity and badge, and it's all about outreach and trying to update our outreach. And this is Paige's idea, and it's to try and do things like a maths scout badge. Right? There is a big, I'm sure most of you have seen, but there is this large issue in the mathematics community for very young mathematicians who are very anti-maths. Right? They have this setup where they're anxious about maths, don't want to do it. If we can inform and try and help with these things like via Scouts, try and keep people engaged in maths, we actually may see quite a substantial change, and that's something that Paige is really working hard on. I think that's it from me. I think I'm passing that to Robyn now. But yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions going forward.
Thank you. Yep, so I'm just going to talk about our subgroup strategy. So this is something the committee started talking about last year and is now implementing this year. And basically, we want to form these subgroups to reach out to our wider ECM community. So currently, we have 2 subgroups that have just been formed, one for events and one for communication, and they're led by a member of our committee. And yeah, the idea for these really is to increase our efficiency, but also get lots of new ideas involved and in practice easier. And the idea is that people can be part of the subgroup without committing 3 years of their life to the committee. As you can probably tell by our dark circles, it's a big commitment. And people sometimes just want to come in and say, look, I really want this. Can we do this? And this is a great way to do that. You also saw in our quiz earlier that we had quite a high number of nominations this year for our elections, and some positions had at least 3 candidates, and we don't want to lose those other candidates. We had amazing candidates this year. It wasn't easy to nominate or to elect, so we don't want to lose people like that or have them be disinterested in the IMA. We want to get them involved, and so the subgroup is a way to do that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say on subgroups, and this is kind of a big strategy change in how our committee is running this year that we're really excited about. And if anyone in this room would like to be in a subgroup or would like to learn more about the subgroups, please come and talk to us, and that would be great. The final thing we have to ask from you before we pass over to Carrie is we would really love to know what you think of what we're doing. A lot of you have lots of experience, or you're exactly the community we're trying to reach out to. So we have a couple of prompts here, and this QR code leads you to a Padlet where you can write your thoughts down. We'd love to know why you joined the IMA in the first place, so we can try and target what we're doing to suit you. Also, what events we could run. Essentially, what events you would like to see. So yeah, if you have time, please scan this and let us know, or just give us any feedback about anything we've said tonight. We'll be more than happy to receive it. So yeah, thank you so much.